Perfect. My name is John McClarey. I'm founder and director of Business Fives Limited. We run a series of corporate charity sports events up and down the country. So yeah, we've raised over £1 million for charity. That's something we're hugely proud of here. Are obviously not originally from this neck of the woods, but I live in Edinburgh and I'm Irish and been over here for almost half my life now. So yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
I mean, that's a big result to get right with the million mark and everything, and all the companies you've worked with as well, and all the work you've done for those companies. How on earth did you get started with this? Because this seems like such a unique idea. Where did it sort of stem from?
Yeah, honestly, Ted, that's we've been working towards that for so long that to reach the £1 million milestone, it's the single biggest achievement that I've done as a business, and we're just hugely proud of it. To be honest, we started off making a really small impact. Like the first year, we raised £9,000, which seems so minuscule now. Then it just amplified and snowballed as we gathered pace with it. But yeah, the business turns 10 later this year in April. So from really humble beginnings, it's grown arms and legs and really impacted a lot of really brilliant charities up and down the country, and engaged a real army of amazing corporate clients as well. So it's been a brilliant journey. As for that kind of initial spark, I always wanted to do my own thing. I like the idea of kind of being my own boss. People talk about freedom. You relinquish all freedom when you start when you start your own business, as I'm sure you know. So yeah, it's been an amazing journey. But I have a passion for football, kind of like most kids in UK and Ireland growing up, where yeah, football was my thing, and then throughout my professional career, I developed a passion for events, and I'm truly lucky. I'm one of those really fortunate people that does what they love, and I firmly believe that if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. And yeah, I think that I'm lucky enough to love what I do so much. But married up my two passions with football and events initially, and the idea just snowballed and got off the ground really, really quickly. The second client that we signed up was Santander. So a big name, and that probably gave me a lot of confidence with it as well. The first charity that we supported was the Trussell Trust and the Food Bank networks too. So always really proud of our affiliation with them. But yeah, the model's completely changed since then. But yeah, it's been a brilliant journey.
Before we go into a little bit more about that, the first initial steps, you mentioned something there which I thought was so interesting about wanting to do something where you have freedom, but then ultimately, as everyone finds out that goes down a similar path, you sort of realize you sacrifice pretty much a lot of that freedom. But how important is it for somebody that has that fire in them to do something that they may not know what it is, but they just want to do something different? How important is it for people to do what they love? And most importantly, how on earth do they sort of go about it? Like what gave you the confidence and belief that that was even possible?
You have to do what you love. Like, think of the amount of time that you spend in work. Like, it is the majority of your week. It's the majority of your life that you'll spend in work. So I've always said this: if you're not enjoying what you do, then it's going to impact your mental health. It has consequences for your physical health. If you're going into work and dreading it every day, it doesn't fit. And I think it's really easy to say you have to love what you do, you have to have a passion for it, but it's really hard to put it into practice. If you've really got that burning energy and desire to go and start your own thing, it comes from taking action. And that's the best bit of advice. You listen to anybody like Tony Robbins or any of these people, like he's all into massive action, but it's actually the micro steps and the small wins that you do that build up really big momentum. You'll probably hear me say that word quite a bit as well, but breaking like really big pieces of project work into small, what can I do now tasks, that's the important thing. And then you tick that off. Like within a week, we had our website live, and it was at an MVP stage as a minimum viable product. And we got it out there, we got to test it, we got to iterate it. The best piece of advice somebody said to me was that will live and breathe and change literally daily. And it's still the case with the websites that we do, because you're adding pages, you're tweaking it here and there. So getting it out there, let your clients kind of give you feedback, let them test it. And like the Lean Startup book, it tells you all about iteration and how much you're going to learn from that. So you have to be willing to put things out there that aren't perfect, but they allow the market to give you that feedback, and that all comes in real time, and it's really really super important. Um, yeah, and it just things go off in tangents, and you can spend a lot of time planning and building something for it not really to get any traction. So if you put it out there quickly, then you get that feedback quicker, and you know if you're onto something or not.
Yeah, no, I've always believed in that. Like the quicker you make a decision, even if you foul, quote unquote, the quicker you find out and the quicker you can pivot, right? But how difficult was it for you to get that first client? Because I know for myself, like we spoke before the call, like I'm doing one-to-one hypnotherapy session, and that was not only years of sort of learning different things in terms of marketing, but a whole month of booking in trials, sending emails. God knows how many emails I've actually sent, how many calls I've made just to get that one client. And then when you do, it's like, yes, I've done it. But then you realize you've got to do that again to get the second. So for you, how was that process like getting to that first stage of, yes, first one through?
I have a business development background, so I'm really happy chatting to people. I'm really comfortable approaching people from a standing start, introducing myself, and then starting the conversation from there. And I suppose that must have resonated with some of those early clients, because first thing I did was join the Edinburgh Chamber of Commerce. So you've got a ready-made network of people that you've got something in common with, and you can start that conversation. So I cold called through the directory. I used my kind of phone book of contacts. Everybody on LinkedIn, I was just reaching out with and starting conversations. But the first client that we signed up was Gordon Kay at Cathcart Associates. Just started a new business, Cathcart Accounts, and they're still going really really well and really strong. Great guy. Went on to do loads of events with us, but I was trying all this other stuff and getting in touch with loads of people. He ended up signing up through the website. And so it wasn't directly from
Yeah.
the efforts and everything that I've been putting in. And I do often think that's the case, where this is a bit woo-woo, but where you put a lot of effort into the kind of one section or one event, but something comes from over here, but you're pretty much telling the universe what you want, and the universe is giving it to you in a roundabout way, but it's not in the exact format that you might have had. But you're putting that energy out there, and you're gonna get that back as well. But yeah, I was always really proud of Gordon being our first client at Cathcart, and he's somebody I keep in touch with. Bumped into one of his colleagues recently as well, and great bunch. But that first event we did, Standard Life beat Santander in the final, and that was as stellar as the clients come. Like the line for that just speaks for itself, and it was just a brilliant, brilliant headline thing for us to hang our hat on.
Yeah, and you know what? As you said that, I had the biggest smile on my face because that's exactly my journey as well. With that, I did all that work thinking, yes, once someday one person will reply to this email I sent, and then what happens was I got the client. My first client just came randomly through my website that's been built for 7 years, just been sitting there dormant. So I was over here doing all the work, pushing, 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 and it's like I thought it was filling up the gap, the meter here, when it was actually filling up the meter over here without me realizing, right? So it's weird how that works. But one thing you did mention about your experience before gave you a lot of confidence moving in to this space and being able to sort of do everything you needed to do. But what part of your personality needed to evolve or has evolved from this that you probably didn't expect? Like it sounds like you have the outreach personality side now down, right? But was there something else?
Yeah, I suppose from a communication point of view, I was always quite comfortable communicating with other people and communicating via different methods. The biggest thing that I've probably had to work on is public speaking for one, and just leading a team and becoming a leader. Now that was probably a time in my life where you're you're still a young adult at 30, starting a business. And yeah, I probably lacked that kind of public speaking confidence that I would have, that I can kind of tap into now. And now that I've done it, I've got a few different tactics that I can apply if I get nervous, or if you feel those jitters again. Somebody really, really who's just an authority in the space, and a brilliant presenter, a brilliant orator. He once told me that excitement and nerves are a really similar feeling in your stomach. So tell yourself you're excited, and you smile when you say the word excited, but tell yourself you're nervous, and you shrink into yourself, and it's the same energy. So it's just the label that you put into it, and what you assign it to be, that actually manifests then. But I remember going to deliver the first event, and we had Gary McClarey there, who's kind of former Scotland international, Hearts legend, and just all round great guy, who was a brilliant mentor in those early days for me. And it came to giving the welcome address, and I said to the guy, like, "Are you okay to do this? Do this?" And he was like, "John, this is your gig now. It's over to you." And you just had to win for it, and I've never looked back since. And one of the things that he was really kind of an advocate for was normalizing yourself really early on. So if you're doing anything that involves crowd engagement, so if you can kind of get a cheap laugh at your own expense, or galvanize the crowd in a different way. So we'll do things like like, welcome to this event, and brilliant to have you all here. Could we get the team captains to put your hands up and give us a big cheer for the team captains? And already you're getting that crowd interaction. So people are put at ease to that when you have the confidence to kind of commandeer a crowd like that. But that's something I've worked on a lot, and just leadership in terms of, like, we it's a very small, tight knit team we have here, but yeah, I'm supposed front and center of that. You have to be able to multitask and kind of communicate on a few different fronts at all times, but they need leadership from me in terms of decision making, and kind of empowering them to make the right decisions as well. So yeah, the proof's in the pudding from what they would actually tell you, but hopefully they think I do an okay job at that.
And as the leader who is front and center, and you have to sort of step up to the plate, how do you stay like mentally fit? I like to call it, like, how do you stay on top of things? Again, from my own experience, I know sometimes things can just build up. You can procrastinate. There's so much more to it than the actual task themselves. There's all like the little nuances and emotions that come with each task, each setback, each opportunity. So how do you sort of stay on top of it yourself in your sort of daily habits or just thought process?
Well, I'm looking at your bookshelf, and I'm looking at mine, if you can see it behind me.
Yeah.
That is one of the single biggest habits that I built over the last, probably done it a bit better over the last 6 years, but reading every single day. I don't read a huge amount, I don't read for hours, but I commit to reading 10 pages a day. I do that before I start work. This is the book that I'm reading at the minute, Profit First. But um, again, it's just tiny. 10 pages, but it's something you commit to. You've got wins. You've got to win. You've done that. I've got a daily morning routine that I kind of run through. It's not as polished as it once was, but one of the favorite books that I read was Miracle Morning. So it's all about starting your day with silence. So I'm on a 326-day meditation streak. I've meditated for a full year before. You get frustrated when you break that streak, but somebody wise said to me, it's the start of a new journey, but it's about dedication. My kind of mantra is that dedication beats motivation. So the more dedicated you are to these daily habits and rituals, then the better it is for you. So yeah, starting the day with silence. Affirmations. I've got a series of affirmations that I write down on my phone, that I've got access to, that I tell myself every morning. Visualization. So that's visualization towards the next goal that you're working towards, and using these techniques, and they're really, really powerful to get your mind in the right headspace for it. Uh, Exercise. So I'll start every day with either a 5K or a 10K run. Every other day, pardon me, my wife runs every other day. But if I'm not running, then I'll walk the dog. So I'll have some form of exercise before I've started work as well. And scribing, and that's something that's really important to me, and I find really valuable. But that's pretty much a daily journal. So for the last since early 2020, so it's about 6 years now, I've journaled every single day, and if I miss a day, then I'll catch up. I'll double journal the next day. And that process of not having to keep things in your head, my memory's sketchy at times. So writing that down, like you're supposed to be living a life that's full of fulfillment. I'm really proud of the life that I live. So there should be things that you celebrate, that you want to tell yourself for future you to reference, that how you felt in that moment. I've latterly moved on to kind of voice note my journaling, but I used to do a lot of actual writing with them. But that is brilliant. The latest thing that I'm trialing with is cold water dips. So since August, after every run, I've got a ice bath out the back. So I'll go in there for 2 minutes. And at the minute they are Baltic, absolutely Baltic. And if I'm next to a lake or something like that, I'll go in there instead. So, yeah, things like that. Anything, I'm really willing to try all that. I've got kind of green tea that I drink every day, yerba mate, chai seeds, cacao. If there's anything that I think that I could get a small age on, I'm definitely willing to give it a go. The latest one that I've been doing for about the last 3 months is magnesium tablets to try and combat energy and fatigue. And yeah, the results have been pretty good for me. So yeah.
I love that. Now I'm taking all that on board as well as you speak. I'm also interested in magnesium. I keep seeing that. I think that's my next thing to try. But you mentioned there the journal. I'm a big advocate for journaling, and just not only for mental health, but just keeping a track record of what you've been up to. And one page I'd love to read in your journal, I think, would be that. Am I right in saying during COVID times you had to pivot into something completely different with the esports? Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. And you said that word pivot earlier, and that was my first thought. It was like we had to pivot as a business during COVID. Our business is literally built on bringing people together. Like next week, there's going to be 600 people at the three events that we're hosting in Middlesbrough, Newcastle, and Leeds. And you couldn't do that in COVID, as we all remember all too well. So it's a really natural pivot for us. We started off with delivering an esports event for our current client base, and just kind of allowed us to test the model. We put a £500 donation up for grabs for their local NHS foundation. And we started small with a FIFA tournament. You learn so much with it. So FIFA's obviously not cross-platform. Well, it wasn't at that point. So we had an Xbox strand and a PS strand, and then it evolved, and it was a brilliant series of events. Honestly, at its peak in March 2021, we had 56 companies involved in an event that was across Call of Duty, Cold War, Call of Duty Modern Warfare, Warzone, FIFA, PlayStation and Xbox, and Rocket League. Lad Bible were one of the teams that won that event, and we had some brilliant evenings gaming, and servicing some really demanding clients. Because if you're a gamer yourself and you play, everything's real time. So roll calls, everything that they were asking us to make judgment calls on, we had codcasters following along and streaming the content and commentating on the action, and it was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Which led us to some really exciting projects. So we delivered remotely we delivered a project for a company based in Miami, who wanted to do a fundraiser for their local YMCA. So we managed the tournament behind their FIFA event. We did something for an international oil and gas firm that had colleagues joining from Brazil, Philippines, Sweden, the States, and Dundee. So all the glamorous locations, France as well. So yeah, it just esports knows no borders, and it was a brilliant way to keep our community engaged and give something to keep active and keep communicating with colleagues as well. So yeah, brilliant events.
No, that's it. And I think that shows the power of a pivot, right? It doesn't have to be a negative just because you have to switch up something for a bit, it can actually be really good. And I think the next pivot that seems to be happening is almost a return to what was. I feel my personal opinion is that people are wanting to get unplugged more, come offline and meet up in person. So with that being said, one, do you agree with that? And two, how important is it now for companies like the ones you mentioned you've worked with to actually go above and beyond, not only to engage their employees, but also build that real life community and engagement where people can look each other in the eyes and actually get to know someone other than their name and their job title?
That's the beauty of our events. I always feel like the job titles don't matter. Like if you play football yourself, or you play touch rugby, or you play golf, it doesn't matter what level in the company you are. It matters your ability and your willingness to kind of fight as a team and work in that environment collaboratively, to be encouraging. And these are all things that are just hugely important to our clients. The team building kind of benefits that steam through the events are they're probably the biggest driver for people getting involved. But just the fact now that technology is everywhere, right? We need it to work. We need it for this call. It allows us to do this. It allows us to facilitate conversations that are instantaneous. We've got probably every company has some sort of instant messaging platform. We use Teams. It might be Slack or whatever it might be. So you're constantly wired into that. You're constantly in response mode. And one of the things that I kind of worked on with one of the leadership coaches that I work with, shout out to Michael Anderson, who's written some brilliant books, Leadership Mindset 2.0 being his latest phenomenal book. But one of the things that he's really an advocate of is having awareness of the situation and choosing how to respond and responding with compassion. But you can either be in response mode or and reactive, or you can be proactive. And the more proactive you are, the more productive work you're going to get done. Now, we've got shiny object syndrome at the minute. There's notifications popping off. Like my Teams is flashing up here. So it's just so easy to get distracted, and it's so hard to focus. And you don't realize how mentally tiring it is to be constantly switched into that until you step away. So it's really important to step away, whether like as a team. Last Friday, we had our team away day, which we do once a quarter. We put the laptops down and have a conversation as a team when we go and do something. So we've done like surfing or rock climbing. We actually played golf last Friday, which was so much fun. And the less said about the quality of my golf, unfortunately, the better. But we had a brilliant afternoon connecting as a team. We go and play five-a-side tournaments. Obviously, that's our bread and butter, and that's how our clients like to switch off as well. And it's just so important because you can get so much deeper connections and so much value in terms of coming together as a team and switching off when you get the chance to.
It's weird though, right? Like you said, how connected we are digitally, but on an emotional level, like I've worked in teams before where you've got everyone in a Slack group, you can ping messages to people at any time, but you don't necessarily know what that person's going through. So how important is it also for companies to do stuff to recognize that? But also, what impact have you seen in terms of the actual individuals that turn up, where you see them maybe turn up a little bit shy or not too sure, and then by the end of the tournament, they're like buzzing, completely forgot about their stresses. Like, what impact does your work have on those people?
That's really anecdotal. So like I could tell you so many stories. I remember watching a guy rock up to a Manchester event on a skateboard, and he was a pretty shy guy, hadn't met a single one of his colleagues yet, but had worked for the company for a couple of months. And it turned out he was great at football. So by the end of it, his colleagues were all like, "Look at this guy! Like this is unreal. He's a new he's the star player." And go from that kind of almost shrinking into yourself to absolutely blooming and coming out of your shell and being such an integral member of the team. So it unearths those hidden talents. And yeah, we kind of regularly see that happening. We see the laughs. We see the fun people have when they come off the pitch. Not after they've just been beat by a controversial penalty or something like that, but say they've won the Europa Conference League section, or they've just scored an absolute worldie, and we've captured the footage and it's going straight on our social media feed. People buzzed off that. So yeah, there's a lot of really good vibes around the events, which are phenomenal. But I would love to actually find a way to kind of put a number on that or to quantify that. Like one of the biggest highlights and memories I have for golf events, everybody gets split up. So you come along in a team of four, and with your company colleagues, but then you get split up with all the other teams. And usually what happens at a golf day, if you've been to one, Ted, but you come along, you have your bacon roll, and you sit as a four ball as a team. You might go and play your four ball golf, and you spend 4 hours with people that you already know, and then you have your dinner all together because you've not met anybody, and then you leave. And our golf days are just supposed to be different to that. There's supposed to be a real energy in the room, so you're supposed to connect with other golfers. Golfers are really sociable. So you might come along and have your four ball as a team, but as soon as you hit the tee box, you're getting split up, so you're meeting other people. And I can remember a lady from HGF and another lawyer from Brody's coming off the golf course in fits of laughter. And these are people that shook hands on the 18th green, having never met on the first tee box before. And the energy in the room after, because all their colleagues are now integrated with other people, they're having different conversations. It's not like moaning about what's going on at work. It's stuff that's happening within their industry, or things that they're excited about, or projects, or friends, or family, or wherever the conversation leads them. And those things are really, really important. They're not hidden benefits of the event because they're front and center, but it's just really hard for us as a business to quantify that and distill that down. But the stories it creates is brilliant.
No, that sounds amazing, and I'm excited to hear about your next chapter. But before I ask what is next, the very final thing before that, in one line, what is one thing you wish you knew? Obviously, this podcast is called If Only They Knew. What's one thing that you wish either you knew or wish other people knew about just taking that step to do something different?
That is a brilliant question. Um, I think, as I said at the start of it, it's about taking action, being able to take a piece of work and break it down into actionable chunks. I think the smaller those chunks are, like we all have to-do lists. There's a to-do list sitting in front of me. It can't be, take over the world. You have to start somewhere. You have to start somewhere really, really small. It's make a phone call. It's check in with this person. Stack up those wins and build momentum as much as you can. And I think that comes from taking action. So the more action you take on the back of it is the better. My mantra is dedication beats motivation. Motivation is fleeting. It will come, it will go. If you're dedicated to something, then you're always going to show up for that. And you need to show up because 99% of the work is showing up. It's being there. That's what life's about. It's being there for other people, being there for your colleagues, being there for your clients, being there for the charities that you support. So that comes from being present. So the more chance you give yourself to be present, the better.
Perfect. And in true Business 5 fashion, we've actually got 5 minutes left on that Zoom time or so. That's a perfect way to wrap it up. What is next for you? And is there potentially a Business Ones, perhaps like a little white collar style boxing event? Or what's next for you? What's in the pipeline? What have you got coming up?
People have approached me about a business one-on-one, maybe in the line of like jiu-jitsu or something like that. I wouldn't fancy stepping in the ring, Ted. I'm not sure it really appeals to me. And our events are all about team building, but I think a white collar boxing thing. I think it could be a brilliant event. If you had teams on teams and like a boxing team from your company taking on another team, but just that occasion at the end of it, I think would be class. So you're on to an idea there. Business paddle is something that we're discovering at the minute, or not discovering, but sorry, we're going down the route of exploring. We think there's just enough venues now that we could get it to the critical mass that we need. It's a brilliant sport. I have a lot of fun playing it, and I think that would transfer to business and networking, and it'd be a nice way for people to meet. We've kind of imminently got a really vigorous schedule of events. So between now and end of March, we've got 44 events. So literally name a city in the UK, we're probably going to be there between now and end of March. We finish up in Amsterdam. We've got events in London, Dublin, Belfast, Cardiff, all across England, all across Scotland. So that's our immediate focus. We've got something hugely exciting coming up in February. So hoping to get some national TV exposure on the back of that, which will be excellent. That's been the kind of culmination of a year-long project. So it'll be great to see that on the small screen, as it were. And then after that, we've got the golf season kicking off. We're back at our Business Sevens mixed touch rugby events, straight into the summer season of Business Fives, and we're kind of looking at more international projects again. I mentioned we deliver events in Amsterdam, so we'd love to get to the Middle East to deliver some events in Dubai and Abu Dhabi initially. We'd love to get as far as Australia this year. So that's potential for kind of November, December time this year, which is very exciting. Yeah, so lots to keep us busy. But some of that can detract your focus from your actually day-to-day work. So you do have to remain vigilant of what kind of keeps you productive as well. But yeah, loads to get our teeth into and keep us busy.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, mate. I wish you the best of luck, and I'll speak to you soon.
No, I didn't say it at the start of the program, Ted, but thank you very much for having me on. I really appreciate
Nice
it.
one.
Appreciate everything you do on the pod as well. So, yeah, thanks very much for having us.